2017, Rise of Iron, all that stuff here today. Special weapons. So if you don't know what that is, that'd be anything that you have. So you don't have something like Invective or Infinity, something like that. You can get that from these types of engrams. If you don't have a year 2 version of it, then if you get the legacy engram of, say, we'll use Invective, for example, it'll unlock it in the kiosk for the current version of it, but you have to buy it with legendary marks at that point. So you do unlock both year 1 and year 2, so you won't have to get another year 2 or a version of the same weapon at that point. You can just pick it up from the kiosk at that point, the year 2 version, which is nice. So if you don't have something, this might be a good way to fill in those gaps. Now, it doesn't include anything, obviously, that was made in year 2. So like Telesto is not going to be in this, right? It'll only be stuff that was originating from year 1. So for our Titan gear, we have the feedback fence. We have a pure strength roll, 75. Now, pure stat rolls really aren't that great because they can't have a total stat point count as much as a split stat version. So if you had like an intellect strength version of this, that'd be overall better than a pure stat roll, because that can max out with a higher total number of stat points than a pure stat roll. So something to watch out for. If all you need is strength, then go for it. Otherwise, I'd probably hold off purely on stats for this roll. But let's see what else we got here. Rain blows, so increased melee attack speed. It's not bad. Bonus grenade energy on melee hits. Again, not bad. I usually run this on something like on gauntlets. I just prefer it, but everyone's different. Scout rifle loader and rocket launcher loader. Of course, that's just going to be up to you and your loadouts. That's actually 2 of my main weapons I use right there. So that's not bad for perks wise. A nice look at those with Queen's Web on. Important to note, you have Twist of Fate down here, so you can re-roll that stat. So if you do want to pick it up, you can just re-roll that stat later if you're looking for it. And of course, the special perk. Oh, almost missed that. So taking damage from a melee attack deals damage in an area around you. So this works in both PvE and PvP. It's really good for the pit on Crota's End, which is out now, which is always nice. But also in PvP, if you melee someone and then they melee you, they're going to get an extra damage applied to them. So this can be a good way to kill someone in a melee fight, potentially. I've seen it happen. Let's move on. Bones of Ao. Oh, people love the Bones of Ao. Good one. So I have a Titan. You're not going to be able to see what that looks like. But we have not bound by law, so upgrades double jump with an additional jump. Now, it's important to note, this doesn't just upgrade double jump. This will upgrade any jump on a hunter with an extra jump. So you can use double jump, or you can use the triple jump, and it'll give you yet another jump. So really, really useful neutral game exotic here. Highly recommend it if you don't have something like that, or if you don't have Bones of Ao yet. Intellect Discipline stat split, so if that's what you're looking for, that's good. 48 is not particularly high. This is a 350, so I think max for these is like, I don't know, maybe 55, either 54, or 55. 400 max is 56. That is the complete max stat roll you can ever get. So probably not the best roll, but it's not necessarily a bad starting roll on these. We also got sniper rifle ammo, machine gun ammo, and void double downs. Of course, these are just going to be more dependent on your overall loadout, but these will also change on the Twist of Fate perk as well. Moving on for Warlock, Heart of the Praxic Fire. Now, this particular exotic used to be a lot more popular in year 1. It's still very, very good, but some other exotics since then have been introduced or buffed or helped out a lot, and it's still very good, but it's just not used as much anymore. So we have Praise the Sun. Further decreases all ability cooldowns while Radiance is active. Greatly increased agility. So, this is going to do 2 things. When you pop your Radiance, everything recharges really fast. Your melees recharge very fast. Your grenades recharge very fast. So this gives you, I can't remember what the boost is, but it's somewhere maybe around 33%, 50% boost, or it's maybe even greater than that. I can't remember, but it is very noticeable. Point being, if you already have like a max discipline stat, right? If you already have a max discipline stat on your character, then it won't benefit you as much, for example, because it can only increase it to the point where you can just constantly throw grenades. If you're already basically at that point, I'd probably run something else. However, this is more useful if you're running something like, say, a 444 tier stat, right? So everything's not maxed, but it's high. This will really help you get up to those higher recharge rates when you're running your Radiance, which is nice. And then, of course, greatly increased agility when you're. I don't actually know if that's during Radiance or not, so that'd be worth checking out. But important to know, at least during Radiance, you're going to get a greatly increased agility, so that's not a bad thing. This is definitely useful in PvE, especially when there's a lot of mobs. Something like the Pit would probably be very good with this. It's certainly not going to hurt you in PvP at all to use this. Probably be a bit more clutch if you really wanted to drive people away from a control point or something like that. It synergizes very well with Radiant Skin. Something like that. Of course, we got Twist of Fate. So we have Intellect Discipline. This is actually a fairly good roll because the max for a single stat on chess piece is 61. So 61, 61 is your max here, and you're already at 57, 60. And of course, that's going to increase when you get this up to 400. So not a bad way to start with this one. Hand Cannon Shotgun, so definitely a PvP focused set of perks there, but also good for PvE. So if that's matching what you're looking for, then go for it. Void Burn and Solar Armor. Void Burn defense is independent, but Solar Armor makes perfect sense because this is only going to help you with your Solar subclass. I'd say overall, especially if you don't have this, go ahead and pick it up. This is a very good roll this week. And then we've got Hard Light for our weapon. So this is an auto rifle from Obalon. If you didn't know, this weapon was actually introduced in year 1 before we had the weapon foundries and everything. So before we had these legendary Suros and Omalon and Hake weapons, this was out and the Suros regime was out. So we knew that these foundries existed and they were prevalent, but we didn't have their complete sets yet. So this was kind of a design driving force for Bungie as they went forward with Obalon. They looked back to this, which was nice. It's a fun weapon. It still is a fun weapon. So we have the intrinsic perk, kinetic damage. We have several different ballistics options here. I personally would run CQB because this thing just jumps around freaking everywhere. So the more stability you get, the better. That's my personal choice, though. It's going to be different. So you can, if you're running Accurize, you're going to get a little bit more range out of it, which is nice. But I don't know, CQB I think is it's very useful here. We have the exotic perk Volatile Light. Rounds fired in those weapon have no damage fall off, over penetrate targets, and ricochet off hard surfaces. So there's 3 things going on with this weapon. The first is that rounds fired with the weapon have no damage fall off. So that's fantastic, right? So you can fire this thing as far as you want, and it's still going to hit just as hard. Now, shooting experience doesn't make that very easy. It does work. The second piece is over-penetrate targets. That's very straightforward. So if you have a lot of mobs in front of you or several players in PvP, if you shoot through one, it is going to shoot through the next. So that's not bad. It's not going to proc that much in PvP just because you don't get too many people lined up in a row that you're going to find. But hey, when it does happen, it's a lot of fun. In PvE, in tight spaces, it's definitely a perk you're going to notice is procking. Oh, and then the last piece of that is ricochet off hard surfaces. It ricochets a few times. It doesn't ricochet infinitely, but I think it's like 3 or 4. But it's a lot of fun, right? If you got a tight space, you can just start shooting on the walls and stuff, and it's hilariously fun to use. Quick draw, of course. This weapon can be drawn unbelievably fast. So if you switch to your secondary, then you switch back to this gun, it's going to pop up really, really quickly. Fit stock increases weapon stability. It's not a huge boost, but you will notice it. Glass half full. The bottom half of each magazine causes additional damage. It's important to note, so this has a magazine of 40. So right around 20, you're going to trigger this glass half full. It's not going to double your damage right away. At that point, it starts to slowly ramp up your damage. So by the time you get to the last, say, 5 bullets, that's when you're really feeling this weapon's extra damage with glass half full. And spray and play. Increases the reload speed of this weapon when its mag is empty. So if you get it all the way down to 0, and as soon as you reload, it's going to be very, very quick. I really wish that this weapon had spray and play and glass half full at the same time because those two synergize so well together. But that's Bungie's choice, not mine. So let's see what else we got for our kind of extra stuff. So we have the last word and addendum. So this is the last word weapon, right, which is a primary hand cannon that's got full auto. So it's very unique in that sense. So if you don't have it, go ahead and pick it up if you can. It does require 25 silver dust, but you will get a fun ornament out of it. So there's that. Red Death and White Witch. Red Death is a pulse rifle that will heal a certain amount of health. I think it's about 60% of your health on a kill, which is very, very good in PvE, especially on mobs, and can be good in PvP, especially in certain situations. And it'll also give you the White Witch ornament, which I think looks pretty good. Onto our curios here, we have Plasma Drive and Emerald Coil. If you don't know what these are for, the Vanguard and Crucible Quartermaster sell rare sparrows, and if you buy those, you can change the color of their drive, and you can get several different versions of those. Those are actually listed in the Sparrow collections pages. You can see those different permutations of the sparrows in there. This is how you acquire them. So you get it with the strange coins, and then there's a little prompt that you have to have a blue sparrow equipped. When you use it, then it'll change it into the legendary version. And heavy ammo synths 3 and 10. Keep in mind that 10 is a slightly better deal, right? Because for one strange coin here, you get 3, right? If you were to multiply that by 3 strange coins will get you 9. However, on this one, 3 strange coins gets you 10. So if you're going to bulk buy them, definitely get the 10. And in fact, I would say unless all you have is 2 strange coins, just get the 10 heavy ammo synthesis. There's really no reason to get the third one. 3 of coins. If you don't know what 3 coins are for, when you buy these, you use one and you'll see exotic particles come up on your character screen. Then the next time you kill an ultra, so an enemy with a skull next to its name, it will proc this effect and give you a chance of getting an exotic engram. So if you've ever been out in the wild, maybe you've seen someone get an exotic engram, or on a strike you've seen someone get an exotic engram, almost guaranteed they were using 3 of coins. You remember when I was talking about Twist of Fate on these guys? They have that Twist of Fate perk. They use these things called glass needles. This is what you need to re-roll your exotic only armor. So you're going to need exotic shards, which you can get from breaking down exotics, motes of light, which you'll get from blue engrams, which can turn into motes, or from leveling up once you're above 40. Every time you level up, you get 5 motes of light. So there's your... Oh, and also you can get them from rank up packages. You get 4 motes of light. And strange coins, of course, you get from rank up packages, from engrams, from strike rewards, all sorts of different stuff. So that's your base of what you're going to need. Then the last things we have here are material exchanges. So you have motes and exotic shards. So if you have strange coins and you really, really need an exotic shard, so you want to get some glass needles, but you haven't built up enough exotic shards yet, might be a good way to get yourself a couple. There's better ways to get yourself exotic shards, which we can talk about another time. But these are the Xur methods. And if you need some motes, then you can exchange it. This is not a very good deal because motes are so easy to get these days, but if you're in a bind, this would be a way to get yourself a few.
I may be here.
So there we go. That's Xur for the week of April 14th, 2017. Hope you found this video informative, and if you liked it, feel free to drop a like. If you don't. See ya.